are a ton of Marvel-related shows making their way to Disney Plus over the next few years, including one that is finally going to put Clint Barton in the spotlight. I'm of course talking about the Solo Hawkeye series, which will see the master marksman teaming up with newcomer Kate Bishop on a whirlwind adventure full of intrigue and wonder. I'm assuming. We actually don't know a ton about the show, so I'm kinda just guessing that there will be wonder, intrigue, and whirlwindness. The few things that we do know, though, largely come from some set photos we have gotten a glimpse at lately, including one that hints at a possible antagonist from the comics making his way into live action. I'm of course talking about Ivan Banionis. But who is that? And what could his role in the show be? Well, that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. With the focus shifting to one of the least overpowered and more normal heroes, in this case Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye.
I'm Clint.
I don't care.
Naturally, the threats also need to scale down just a bit. I mean, it wouldn't exactly make the most sense in the world to have just a regular dude who is really good at archery go up against somebody like Galactus or Apocalypse. Though I would totally love to see either of those play out in an episode of What If. Though that would probably be the shortest episode of all time. No offense to Hawkeye fans. And this scaling down definitely looks like it's going to be the case. At least if the set photos we have gotten from the series is any indication. And from these photos, we've gotten a glimpse of a character that is reportedly Ivan Banionis, a character from the Hawkeye comics whose last name I guarantee I have butchered. Banionis. So I'm just gonna stop saying it now. But who is Ivan exactly? Well, let's take a look at his role in the comics so that we have a foundation of knowledge for the speculation that comes later. You know how I like to do things here at Screen Rant, so let's go. Ivan first appeared in issue number 1 of the 4th volume of the Hawkeye Solo series, where he was the landlord in the building that Clint and his neighbors were living in. Ivan wasn't just a typical landlord though. He didn't just hound his tenants for rent and take forever to fix leaky pipes and broken door hinges. Nope, he was actually part of a group that Clint lovingly referred to as the Tracksuit Draculas, a sort of small-time mafia that Ivan used to twist and abuse his renters. So your typical thug archetype. Sick and tired of Ivan's crap, Clint pulled together all the funds that he had saved from his time as an Avenger, and wound up buying the building off of Ivan. Or rather, he kinda forced him to sell it to him, cause, you know, Avenger. Ivan was eventually deported, but he managed to make his way back to the city, and he led a massive assault on the building with the help of the Tracksuit Draculas and a mercenary simply known as Clown, who, was a charming fellow, to be sure. The inhabitants of the building put up quite a bit of a fight, and managed to push back the armed assailants, with Kate Bishop, Clint's young protege, ultimately being the one who subdued Ivan and put a stop to the entire raid. Now, listening to that summary, you probably already have some thoughts as to how the Hawkeye series could go down if the character is part of it. I know that I certainly do. Now let's consider for a moment that Ivan is the big bad of the series, which could be the case, I suppose. What if the series will see Clint stepping in to help an impoverished neighborhood deal with its mafioso landlord, only to have it turn into an all-out brawl as the entire building is attacked by armed goons? Kinda an Attack on Precinct 13 / The Raid kind of situation, setting up some potentially kick-ass fight sequences. I personally wouldn't say no to that, that's for sure. There's one little problem with this though. That being that Ivan seems a bit too small time to carry an entire series as the main antagonist. However, there is one big baddie that comes to mind when I think about Marvel crime bosses, who could serve as a sort of puppet master for the events that play out. I am of course talking about Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin. Maybe Kingpin is actually behind it all, ordering Ivan to move in on this apartment complex in order to try to clear them out. Perhaps for some kind of shady real estate scheme that Fisk has cooked up. It wouldn't be the first time that he's tried to pull that kind of stuff off. Now yes, Kingpin isn't usually seen as a Hawkeye villain, instead usually facing off against people like Daredevil or, of course, Spider-Man. However, when it comes to street-level crime in New York City, Kingpin usually has a hand in what's going down, and the Hawkeye series could be a good way to reintroduce the character to audiences after his run in the Netflix Marvel shows. Who knows? Maybe he'd even bring the devil of Hell's Kitchen along with him. A guy can certainly dream.